Hi there, I'm Victoria, and this is just going to be a really quick introduction to Metaculus, which is an online prediction book system for making predictions about world events in any area. So this is the full list of questions that you can predict. So if we look here at when will a universal flu vaccine be available, what we can see here on the left is the timeline, so how this aggregate prediction of all the people who've made predictions has changed over time. So this has been open for quite a while. It's been open for a couple of years now, and it's been fairly constant that it's been around 2030 is about the aggregate estimate. And on the right-hand side here, we can see the aggregate probability density. So again, you can see the same thing. Currently, the most likely bet is around 2030, maybe 2025. If we then click on the title here, it'll load up the full timeline. So we can see the full timeline here. We can see the number of predictions at any given point on that timeline. So it's actually 2029 is the current average prediction. We can get some more information about when, what the definition of a universal flu vaccine is here, and a bit of background information about this. And then here we can see both the average probability of the community. Also, we can make a prediction ourselves. So. Sorry, the other way around. So this is the default distribution on the right here, which is the one that we can edit by moving these three dials here. And then on the left here, you've got the probability of the community. So if we move this square, this will move the mean, and it'll move the two standard deviations one on either side with it. And if we move either of these circles, it'll move just that standard deviation to the side. So if we move this far over to the left, and we put the mean roughly where the mean is, and then we'll extend this peak out a little bit. We'll get something similar to the community prediction here. Maybe tighten that prediction a little bit. Try this one out. Then we can click Add Component, and that'll add just another identical normal curve, which will overlap. So we can make this normal curve, for instance, very spiky. If we have some particular reason to think that, if it doesn't happen initially, then it's very unlikely to happen for a while, but then it's quite likely to happen around here. Then we can make a prediction like this, and we can change the relative weight of those. So if we think that's pretty unlikely to happen, but we do think it's going to happen quite soon, but we want, for some reason, we think there's some specific event that's likely to happen around 2050, 2060, which is going to make it more likely, then we can have a distribution like this. And the scoring system on Metaculus is net positive, so it encourages you to make predictions. If you were to just randomly predict on a lot of questions, you would make a slight positive number of points. But it's also very deep, so if you very narrowly predict, if it was exactly here and we made a very narrow prediction, that it would be here, and then it does come out on about 2024, then we'll get an awful lot more points than if we very broadly predicted we were very unsure, and then it's still 2024, so we're going to make a lot fewer points from that. There's also some weighting in the point system for being sort of better than the community, so if you make a narrower prediction that's closer to the truth than sort of the average bet of the community, then you'll get extra points for that. And also for time, so if you make a prediction earlier on, when there's presumed to be less information available, then you'll also get slightly more points for that. So we can compare my prediction here to the community prediction here. So we can see the change of distribution here, they're pretty similar. If we click on, and we can also see the sort of range of points that we can get at the bottom here. So we can either lose 177 points if it's, say, here, where we've put very little probability mass, or we can get positive 87 points if it's, here. And if we change so if we get rid of this component, and then make it very, very narrow, you'll see that the range on both ends of here changes a lot. So we can either lose 293 points if it's almost anywhere, but we can gain 214 points if it's right at the peak of this curve here. So if we make a rather broader bet, and then we click Predict, you'll see we can now update our prediction later on. If we find some new information that changes, we can just leave it as is. So, if we learn, we're actually not so confident that it's going to be so soon later on, we've seen some evidence that it's less likely, we can update our prediction there very easily. Thanks very much.